talk to everybody now a little bit about restoration. It's no coincidence that I'm here tonight, that I'm here by the power of God, that He restored my life and the things in my life, but not only the things in the relationships, but the life that He intended for me to have, that I now have 36 years afterwards. But the things that God ordains in our life and predestines, we don't know until we get to the point in our life when we're so broken that we can't understand what's going on in our life. And through that brokenness, we find that we're whole. And then I was listening to a song Wednesday night at church, and it says that it was through His peace that we find to be whole. And just like restoration and reconciliation, there's promises from God, but the things that we have to realize is that we are truly broken. It's the big void that's inside of us. The godless people had no idea that that's what that is. That there's just a void, a spiritual malady that they have, and it's hard to understand when we don't have God. As a godless person, I had no idea that that's what was going on. I just thought that through pain and suffering, that's just the way I was. I did not know that I needed to put God in that hole that God preordained inside of me. So through that void, I put prescription medication because I had pain issues, and I put everything. I put relationships and everything that made me feel good. That's what I put on the inside. But through that, God allowed me to get to the point in my life where not only was I physically broken and emotionally broken, but spiritually I was bankrupt. I had nowhere to go. I had nobody else to turn to, and it was through a point in my life where I was completely suicidal and wanted to end my life. But God allowed me to get to that point and allowed me to take my own life, basically. He didn't allow me to end my life. He allowed me to get to the point where I could lay down my life. I walking in the door, it was almost a year ago. September 10th will be a year exactly. I walked through the door. When I walked through the door, I realized that I had to check myself, that the life I was living, that I was dead. And spiritually, I had nothing. I was just bankrupt. I had been saved at a young age, but never knew what it was like to have a relationship with God or to be a Christian. But it took walking in the door and having one little ounce of humility, and recognizing that in God's Word it says that He opposes the proud and favors the humble. It took me a while to figure out what that meant. When I finally did that, and I was God allowed me to humble myself before Him, I developed a relationship with God slowly, but over time, that relationship began to be more like a father-son relationship, which is what I was looking for. I had lost my father a year ago. Last Thursday would be a year exactly. And it was through that pain, through that emotional pain, I was already physically broken, that I was just going to take my own life. I was done. But through that circumstance, and I say circumstance loosely, that God allowed me to walk into the House of Disciples. I had no idea who it was or who the House of Disciples were. I had no recollection of anything that happened when I was suicidal. I just knew that I was done living. When I came to, I realized that I had family who loved me and wanted to do something for me, but they didn't know what to do. And they asked me, they said, what do you need? I said, I really don't know what I need to do. I know I need some help, and the kind of help I need, I'm not going to get from a rehab for any kind of recovery. I needed some mental, physical, and spiritual help. So my sister had talked to one of her friends, and one of her friends happened to be a cousin of Phil. And she would say, well, I know this great place called House of Disciples. Phil actually lives upstairs. And so I was like, so he talked to me about it, and I had found a couple more places that looked like something I wanted to go to, because I was not willing to commit to a year of anything unless it had something to do with NASCAR or something fun. But at that point in my life, I was so broken I didn't know what to do. I planned on going there for 30 days, and after that 30 days I would be done. I talked to them and said, how can I, they said, you can leave anytime you want to leave, the door is always open. It doesn't cost anything to live here, just be willing to commit, to find what you're looking for in here. So when I did that, I checked myself at the door and I walked in, did not know what to expect. a year later, I expect a lot. I expect a lot of the people that are my brothers, that are my accountability through my relationship. Half the people in this band right here are some of the most selfless, beautiful people that I could possibly imagine, who have showed me what it's like to have a relationship with God. Mike Smith, sitting right back there on the back row, I call him a back row Baptist. He's my brother, and he's taught me a lot along the way, what it's like to be selfless and to put others first, and to show what a servant leader really is. Christ was the true servant leader. He put himself very last and everybody else first, and died for us on the cross. And what we have to look forward to is our eternal salvation. That eternal salvation and that relationship with God is the most important thing in my life. And I value that with everything that's inside of me. And there's a lot more to this testimony, but I just wanted everybody to know that the beautiful thing about a discipleship program that they offer is not about coming in and just sacrificing or letting go a year of your life or sobriety or recovery. It's about restoration, letting God restore the things in your life that sometimes we didn't even know we had. So, I'm going to turn it back over to the band, let them do their job. Thank you for letting me share.